Welcome to a Milk Market Tidbit for the August milk production report that USDA actually released on Monday. And I know I'm recording this a couple days later on the 20th, but been spending a lot of time thinking about this and want to kind of put it in the proper perspective for you. So going into this report, we were looking at the federal milk marketing order, and we thought that the milk production should be pretty well flat from month over month. And since then, we did get the U.S. production number, and we can calculate that 67.7% of the U.S. production was actually in the pool. The reason that the significant amount of milk out of the pool, is people like Idaho are not in the federal milk marketing order, and then there's a little bit of depooling of class 4. So that's what makes that lower than 100%. So when we look at the daily production across time, and the red dots are previous August, so you can see that we've been increasing production about 1.2% per year, significant. And we had a seasonally adjusted number that was a little bit lower than what it actually came in at. And so it came in, just about a 0.5% higher than what we had seasonally predicted. And if I was to kind of plop into the universe and say, what's going to happen with August production, I would say it was going to be down about 1%, but it turned out it was only down about 0.3%. And so it was much, much better than given the data that we had for July. So when we look at this data, easily to understand that production is the number of cows times the milk per cow, but I don't think that's how it's done. I think the way that it's done is USDA is going to estimate production, and then they're independently going to estimate the number of cows, which then is going to give us our milk per cow. So I think the way that they are doing it is coming up with production and cow numbers. Here is our milk per cow, and so again, this is probably the calculated result, and it came in better than we thought it would given the seasonal estimate. And again, we thought it would be a little bit lower given the data that we had for July, but it actually came in a bit stronger. And then the big issue is the cow numbers, and they were flat month over month. They had adjusted July down to 9.39. But here's my take on everything. If we think about the variability in measuring cow numbers, and USDA will say that they're plus or minus about 20,000. I know that we want to take these cow numbers as gospel, but I think there's a lot more variation in them than we actually realize. And so I said, well, what if we're really about 9.4 plus or minus 10? And that's the red box. And we've been in that basically since September of last year. Yes, there's a time that we were down a little bit, and yes, there's a time that we're up a little bit. But I think the herd size is just kind of holding at this 9.4 plus or minus 10,000. So overall, I think cow numbers are flat month to month, and long term, we're just in a stable herd size of 9.4 million. And I think the biggest takeaway from this report is that the supply of milk is not plummeting like a lot of people thought it was, given this downward on cow numbers. But I think that is just again normal variation around 9.4. So this week we did have the milk production report. The global dairy trade was up about 5%. And we will have the national dairy sales report on Wednesday this afternoon and the advanced prices.